Good morning. There has been a determination of guilt based on your pleas of guilty to count 1, possession or use of narcotic drugs, a Class 4 felony, and count 3, driving or actual physical control while under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs, a Class 1 misdemeanor.
One would think after serving that sort of time that he would get a rather clear message that
Mike Tyson collapsed, a legend brought to his knees, not in the ring, but in court.
Mr. Tyson, in talking with the adult probation office, indicated that he should be given another chance. He should be placed on probation with no jail. Judged by my calculation,
The November 15th showdown between Iron Mike and Jake Paul was labeled a scripted spectacle, and now the fallout is more dramatic than the fight itself. What was once hailed as a monumental generational showdown, the highly anticipated fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, quickly spiraled into a legal fiasco, leaving fans in disbelief and questioning the authenticity of the spectacle. Originally billed as an epic clash of two combat sports icons, the event promised to deliver fireworks. An electrifying contest between a seasoned former champion and an undefeated upstart from a new generation. But as the fight unfolded, what seemed like a pure competition on the surface began to unravel with shocking revelations. Whispers of foul play began circulating, but it wasn't until weeks after the fight that concrete evidence emerged, casting doubt on its legitimacy. Allegations surfaced that the entire fight might have been scripted, with insiders claiming that both fighters had been coached to follow a predetermined outcome for the sake of drama and entertainment.
Streaming giant Netflix is being issued a class action in relation to the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. TMZ reports the lawsuit is over streaming issues and a breach of contract. Thousands of viewers claim they had...
Fans, who had forked out substantial sums for tickets and pay-per-view access, were furious. They felt betrayed, having invested in what they believed was a real, unscripted battle, only to be confronted with the possibility of being duped by what was, in essence, a staged performance. To make matters worse, Netflix, which had secured the exclusive streaming rights for the event, found itself embroiled in a nightmare of its own. Thousands of viewers who had tuned in to witness the high-octane fight complained of technical difficulties that marred their viewing experience. From buffering issues to poor video quality and even complete outages, the broadcast was riddled with problems that severely hampered fans' ability to watch the fight.
It's amazing they got paid so much money for that, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
He's still quick.
Oh yeah, he's still very quick. But you know, Mike had, he was...
Many fans, feeling that they had not only been misled by the fight's supposed lack of authenticity, but also robbed of a quality viewing experience, flooded Netflix with complaints, demanding refunds. The situation quickly escalated into a full-blown legal storm, with several class action lawsuits filed against the streaming giant for breach of contract and failure to provide the service that had been promised. The courts took these allegations seriously, and the consequences were severe. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, already polarized figures in the world of combat sports, found themselves facing financial penalties as the legal system sought to hold them accountable for their role in the debacle. The judge, in a rare move, ruled that both fighters would have to forfeit a significant portion of their earnings from the fight. This money would be redirected to compensate the fans who had been misled or inconvenienced by the scandal. But the real financial blow came to Netflix, which found itself at the center of the storm. The company, which had already invested heavily in promoting the fight, was ordered to pay the lion's share of restitution to the disappointed fans. The streaming giant was held responsible not only for the technical issues during the broadcast, but also for its failure to ensure that the event was genuine and not a carefully choreographed performance.
A lot of good things gonna come after this fight, but it must have been Mike when I back home with his family, with his loved ones, and helps. In the end of the day, we just want to fight it, you have to beat help and back home.
As the case progressed, Netflix's legal team fought to limit the damages, but the backlash was too overwhelming to ignore. Perhaps the most jarring and shocking moment of the entire legal debacle occurred shortly after the court hearing, when Mike Tyson, the legendary former heavyweight champion, suddenly collapsed. The atmosphere outside the courtroom had been tense all day, with reporters, photographers, and media crews anxiously awaiting his reaction to the recent court ruling, which had left him and his opponent Jake Paul facing significant financial penalties. Everyone was bracing for a comment or an outburst, anticipating a response that could potentially add fuel to the already raging controversy.
Say we're really proud of Mike, not just because he was 7 months of training for a man with 58 years old, but the way he trained for 7 months for this fight. He put his life to the side just to...
Surrounding the fight. However, what transpired took the media by surprise and sent shockwaves through the crowd as Tyson stepped out of the courtroom, seemingly preparing to address the waiting journalists. He suddenly staggered and fell to the ground. His body seemed to buckle under him as if he had no control, and before anyone could react, he collapsed completely. The scene turned from one of high drama to one of pure confusion and panic. Media crews, who had been poised with cameras and microphones, were stunned into silence, unsure whether what they were witnessing was part of the chaos surrounding the fight fallout or something much more serious. Within moments, the situation escalated as paramedics rushed to Tyson's side, attempting to stabilize him. It was clear that this was no minor incident. The seriousness of the situation became even more apparent as the paramedics quickly worked to assess his condition, placing him on a stretcher and preparing to transport him to the hospital. The sight of the boxing legend, a man who had faced down some of the most brutal opponents in the sport, now in such a vulnerable state, was a stark reminder of his personal struggles. Tyson's health had already been a topic of conversation leading up to the fight. Rumors had circulated that the 58-year-old's physical condition had been deteriorating, especially given his age and the rigorous demands of training for a high-profile bout. In the weeks prior to the event, there had been whispers about Tyson's stamina and fitness levels, with some speculating whether he was physically up to the challenge of facing someone like Jake Paul, who had been steadily building his own fighting career. The fight itself had raised doubts, but it was the collapse immediately after the court hearing that truly cast a shadow over Tyson's future in the sport and his overall health. As Tyson was rushed away in an ambulance, the media was left with more questions than answers. Was this a medical emergency? Had his collapse been triggered by the immense physical and mental stress he had endured in the lead-up to the fight and its subsequent legal fallout? His sudden collapse sparked a wave of concern from fans and former colleagues alike, many of whom expressed genuine worry about his well-being. Social media quickly erupted with messages of support for Tyson, with fans wishing him a speedy recovery and urging him to prioritize his health over any future fights. The incident not only cast a long shadow over Tyson's immediate future, but also added another layer of controversy to the already troubled situation. With the fight's legitimacy now in question and Tyson's health taking a dramatic turn, many wondered if this was the final chapter in the boxing icon's career. Had the stress of the fight, the legal battle, and the relentless media attention finally caught up with him? The collapse raised alarms within the sport and among fans, leaving everyone with one undeniable truth. Tyson's health and legacy were at risk in ways that no one had anticipated when the fight was first announced. The aftermath of the controversial fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul sent shockwaves through the boxing community, provoking sharp reactions from some of the sport's most respected icons.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you wish it was a sanctioned fight and not an exhibition like it's going to be?
No, because I would feel really bad for Jake Paul. I don't want him to get hurt.
Lennox Lewis, the former heavyweight champion, was one of the first to speak out, condemning the fight stipulations. Lewis argued that the rules surrounding the bout should have been more flexible to protect Tyson, especially given his age and the physical issues he had been dealing with leading up to the fight. According to Lewis, Tyson's decision to fight, coupled with the strenuous conditions imposed on him, was not only dangerous, but also set a troubling precedent for the sport. Lewis emphasized that at 58, Tyson should have been given more consideration in terms of his physical and mental readiness, as well as better safeguards to ensure his health wasn't compromised in the name of spectacle. Evander Holyfield, Tyson's longtime rival and another boxing legend, also voiced his concerns.
That wasn't a good one.
Wasn't a good one. Yeah. Overall, how'd you just see how Jake fought, how Mike fought?
Well, you know, you can tell something was wrong with the Tyson leg, so he couldn't, his balance was off.
Holyfield, who had a well-documented history with Tyson, expressed regret over the decision to allow the fight to take place at all. He echoed Lewis's sentiments, saying that more stringent regulations or alternative conditions could have prevented Tyson from being put in harm's way.
That's crazy. You noticed that. I just talked to his trainer and he told me that exact thing.
Yeah.
His balance was off.
His balance was off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. You know, overall, like, how do you see Jake growing from this, and who do you want to see him fight against now?
Well, you know, I'm like, he's a pretty good fighter.
Holyfield's critique was particularly poignant, considering the intense rivalry that had once existed between him and Tyson in the ring. The two men had fought two iconic bouts in the late 1990s, and Holyfield's own history with Tyson gave him a unique perspective on the risks involved in the sport, especially for aging fighters. Holyfield advocated for a deeper sense of responsibility within the boxing community, calling for greater attention to fighter safety, particularly for those in their later years who may not be able to endure the physical demands of a professional fight.
All right, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul was by its nature a horrible fight right from the start. It was just awful. Mike almost fell down during his walkout.
Oscar de la Hoya, another legendary figure in boxing, was equally vocal in his disapproval of the event. De La Hoya, who himself had made his return to the ring after a lengthy hiatus, labeled the Tyson-Paul fight as horrible and disrespectful to boxing. He argued that the spectacle of the match diminished the integrity of the sport.
It was on quicksand since the first 10 seconds of the fight. Oh, and did you see that 58-year-old ass? It was wishful thinking for
drawing attention away from the true essence of boxing. De La Hoya went further, claiming that the fight was an example of the sport's exploitation, where the spectacle of celebrity matchups took precedence over the safety and well-being of fighters. His condemnation of the event sparked heated debates about the current state of boxing, with many arguing that the sport had lost its focus on competition in favor of entertainment and financial gain. The
kids who thought they were gonna get Mike Tyson of the 90s come out and rip somebody's head off.
La Hoya's remarks resonated with longtime fans of the sport, who felt that the Tyson-Paul fight was emblematic of a broader trend in boxing where big-name matchups, often motivated by money and media hype, were being prioritized over traditional bouts between active fighters at the peak of their careers. While many within the boxing world criticized the fight and its circumstances, there were still voices that praised Tyson for his dedication and determination to push forward with the match despite the odds stacked against him.
Now, everyone is talking about how staged this fight was. I do believe it was scripted, and I believe that Tyson was certainly held back.
Tyson's training regimen, which spanned 7 months, was nothing short of remarkable given his age and physical condition. At 58, Tyson was working harder than many much younger fighters, dedicating himself to an intense workout routine and putting in the effort required to face a younger and stronger opponent. Those who defended Tyson's decision to fight praised his commitment to the sport, noting that his determination to compete at such a high level, despite the challenges he faced, spoke volumes about his passion for boxing. Tyson's willingness to put himself through grueling training and to fight on such a public stage, despite the risks, was seen by some as a testament to his legendary work ethic and love for the sport. However, while Tyson's efforts were commendable, the reality of his performance in the ring was undeniable. Despite months of preparation, Tyson's age and deteriorating health were evident during the bout. His performance was far from what many fans had expected, and it raised further questions about the ethics of allowing aging fighters to compete at such a high level. Still, there was a sense of admiration for Tyson's resolve. Even if the outcome was less than ideal, the fight had become a spectacle, but for Tyson, it was a final attempt to prove that he still had the heart and drive to fight at the highest levels of the sport. As the debates continued, one thing became clear. The Tyson-Paul fight had ignited a larger conversation about the future of boxing. The criticisms from Lewis, Holyfield, and De La Hoya were not just about the specifics of the fight, but about the direction the sport was headed.
So Jake Paul paid to get the W on his record? For what? For your own personal satisfaction? Bruh. I keep telling you, if you...
With increasing celebrity matches, questions about fighter safety, and the growing commercialization of the sport, many were left wondering what boxing would look like in the years to come. The event may have been an unfortunate chapter in the sport's history, but it also served as a catalyst for change, as many within the boxing community called for a return to the roots of the sport, where the focus was on competitive integrity and the well-being of the fighters. Adding to the growing controversy surrounding the Tyson-Paul fight were rumors that a pre-fight script had been circulating online, sending shockwaves through both the boxing community and the wider sports world. These rumors began to gain traction after fans and analysts alike started noticing strange inconsistencies in the fight's flow, with some suggesting that the entire event might have been more of a scripted performance than a legitimate contest. The most troubling aspect of these rumors was how some details of the fight seemed eerily accurate, almost as if they had been foretold in advance. For example, many of the early stages of the fight unfolded in ways that seemed to mirror certain pre-fight predictions that had been shared on social media. Tyson's initial aggression in the opening rounds, where he appeared to come out strong with a barrage of punches, was one of the most notable points that seemed to align with the supposed script. Tyson, known for his ferocious power and explosive start, had been expected to unleash a flurry of punches early on, and that's exactly what happened. This uncanny match between the rumors and Tyson's early performance led many to wonder if the fight was indeed planned in advance, with the outcome already set in stone before the two fighters even stepped into the ring. The claims that the outcome of the fight had been predetermined, however, remained unproven. Despite the speculation, there was no concrete evidence to support the idea that the entire bout had been scripted. The fight played out in a way that some felt was too calculated, but without definitive proof, it remained a topic of heated debate rather than an established fact. As rumors swirled, many fans felt betrayed, questioning whether they had been sold a false bill of goods and whether they had witnessed a legitimate contest or just a well-rehearsed spectacle designed for maximum entertainment value.
You've said about Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and you said, listen, I'm not going to watch that last fight, I'm going to walk out. Why?
Because I think it's just disrespectful to the sport, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch one of my...
Critics, including respected boxing promoter Eddie Hearn, were quick to dismiss the notion of a scripted fight as ridiculous. Hearn, known for his outspoken nature and no-nonsense approach to the sport, took to social media and in interviews to voice his disbelief at the suggestion. He argued that while the fight may have had some unusual moments, there was no credible evidence to back up the idea that Tyson and Paul had entered into an agreement to stage the event.
Time favourite fighters. One of my heroes, I guess, in a boxing ring at 55 years of age, physically a shell of what he once was.
Hearn's dismissal of the rumors helped to quell some of the more extreme conspiracy theories, but it did little to silence the growing unrest among fans, who were still trying to make sense of what had happened in the ring. Others, however, took a more speculative approach. Some boxing analysts and commentators suggested that Tyson, in particular, may have held back intentionally during the fight. They posited that, given Tyson's age, physical condition, and the overwhelming odds stacked against him, he may have been more interested in giving the audience a show rather than actually trying to win. Tyson had been known for his ability to generate drama and excitement in the ring, and some theorists argued that he may have deliberately staged parts of the fight to ensure the narrative remained compelling. This theory gained traction among fans who pointed to moments in the fight where Tyson seemed to retreat or show signs of hesitation, fueling suspicions that he was not as committed to winning as a fighter of his caliber would typically be. There were also those who believed Tyson's approach was a mixture of calculation and caution, given the media spectacle surrounding the fight and the sheer pressure of competing against a much younger and physically fitter opponent.
The fighter that you were when you were the youngest heavyweight champion, are you still that guy? Are you a different fighter, or do you still imagine you are what you were?
Well, no, I know I never lied to myself, but I know I'm good enough.
Tyson may have been careful not to overexert himself or risk injury. In his previous bouts, Tyson had often been the aggressor, but in this fight, there were moments when he seemed to back off, letting Jake Paul dominate in areas where Tyson would have normally controlled the pace. Some speculated that this behavior was not a sign of weakness, but rather a conscious decision to manage his energy and health while still maintaining the aura of the fierce fighter he had once been. The idea of Tyson holding back also opened up larger questions about the role of veteran fighters in high-profile events. Was it possible that Tyson, despite being a legendary figure, was past his prime and therefore made strategic decisions that appeared suspicious to some viewers? Or was it simply that the entire fight was part of a broader marketing strategy designed to maximize viewership and keep the audience intrigued by every move in the ring? Regardless of the theories, the fact remained that Tyson's performance raised eyebrows and sparked a flurry of discussion among fans, critics, and insiders alike. Ultimately, while the rumors of a scripted fight may have been rooted in speculation and conjecture, they highlighted a deeper issue within the world of boxing, one that questions the authenticity of certain matchups and the growing commercialization of the sport. In the eyes of some fans, Tyson's performance against Paul, regardless of the reasons behind it, reflected the troubling trend of spectacle overtaking the true spirit of competitive sports. As the controversy unfolded, it became clear that the fight would not only be remembered for its outcome, but for the lasting impact it had on the way fans viewed the intersection of entertainment and athletics in modern boxing. This debacle has reignited conversations about the exploitation of aging legends in boxing. Tyson himself, who once said, "If I die, I want to die in the ring," is a reminder of the toll the sport can take. The fight may have drawn over 65 million viewers, but at what cost? As Tyson recovers in the hospital, fans and critics alike are left questioning whether events like these are worth the risks. Okay guys, for the best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and actions, subscribe to Knockout Updates and turn on notifications to never miss out on quality content. And check out our other videos. Until next time, peace out.